Right. Talking today about Electro Culture and how to have premium Electro Culture to grow your plants 1,000-fold. To essentially to grow your plants for great amounts of healing potential in the plant, to keep it free from all diseases and allow the plant to grow exceptionally large. This has to do with the right-hand rule of electromagnetism, and it has to do with the force of the plant growing to a great size. Let's start with the Schumann. So the Schumann frequency, I will draw it out. So it starts with the Schumann. So if you want bigger plants, you have to have lightning strikes around your area. I say that because lightning is pulsed isochronic radio waves coupled with high voltage pulse DC. That's all going into the plants of the earth. That's going into every cell of the human body. That's going into every object on the earth. The earth is surrounded in the AC magnetic wave of around 7.83 hertz. Okay, and that's because lightning strikes the earth at 7.83 cycles per second. So imagine you have a little garden here. Okay, and on the four corners of your garden, let's say this is a bird's eye view now, and I'll change it so it'll be easier. Bird's eye view of your garden. You have four posts, four cymatic posts. What you're going to be doing in your garden is you're going to be forming a cymatic grid. I'll say that again. You'll be forming a cymatic frequency grid in your garden. Okay? All right, I will type this in just so it's clear. This video may be a little longer than to be expected, but that is okay. So you're going to form a frequency grid. How are you going to do that? You're going to take four posts, put them in the ground, or if it's like a triangle or hexagonal garden, that'd be even cooler, right? Or a circle garden or something like that. I'm showing you guys this video because this video is important, and you can go look it up. You can just type in what I typed in. There's no need to really link it because it's there, and I typed in what I typed in. All the credit goes to all these videos. Okay, so this is amazing standing cymatic waves on a coming in at all four corners of your garden. You're going to produce a cymatic standing grid. If this will load. Okay, so I will move on for the time being. So this is Les Brown, and what Les Brown did is he created a copper antenna that wasn't insulated, made out of wire, and channeled it into a coil. Okay, he created a helical antenna. These are like rubber ducky antennas that you see in walkie-talkies, except the gauge was a lot thicker. Okay, and then at the very end, he made dipole antennas at certain lengths. Okay, and he just attached it. You could have soldered it or just attached it straight on there. So that based on the length of this copper wire, it would resonate at its specific radio frequency resonance and then be channeled into circularly polarized waves. And depending on whether it's a left-hand spin or a right-hand spin, that's going to be the output of his wave. So what happens to Les is the following.
Now I undid them into a lot of fingers like
Actually,
this.
we'll pause that and let you guys go watch it. Watch what happens to him. It's a mystery. It's sort of cool. I'll just reveal it. He gets thrown across the room like 20 feet in the air. So there's force behind what's going on. Anyways, he combines lightning, radio frequencies, circularly polarized radio frequencies, lightning, and the Schumann. He combines all three, and then there is force in motion. Okay, so this is just common practice of electroculture of what this guy's doing right here. So I will mute it as well. This is Deep South Homestead. I heard about this from a buddy at work, and I wanted to research it, so I figured I'd make a video about it. So he's saying that birds chirping promote plant growth. Technically, the birds have isochronic pulsations at certain frequencies. Okay, that travels along the wave the plant hears it. The plant has more importantly, in terms of electroculture, this guy is producing these helical antennas. He's wrapping them around the pole, and that's going into the soil, all the way down into the soil. It's just like this, except Les Brown's antenna is way better because it not only circularly polarizes the radio waves, incoming radio waves, it also allows for specific wavelengths to enter in. And he just randomized it, Les Brown. You can actually calculate it. You can do healing wavelengths. That would be the resonant frequencies of the infrared spectrum, because plants grow better with infrared light, clearly. The optimal amount of infrared light. So this guy, what he's doing, he's just expounding upon electroculture. He's creating the same type of antenna. So this is just 3 that electro frequencies involve these type of antennas. These are helical antennas. Okay, they're circular polarizing the wave. This guy, he takes a piece of copper, credit. So yeah, what he does is something interesting in my opinion. Obviously, he's doing that for each person. Anyways, what he's doing is he's actually taking putting it inside the plant. Okay, so that wave directly into the fluids of the plant. So that was his idea. The resonant. Okay, so there's one vibrator here. Okay, so this is surrounding guard. At specific frequencies based on the geometry of your guard, by boundary of diamagnetic wood, you have wave in the middle based on this. I will further explain that. I will actually just use this example. Here's 1, 2. I will explain further more here in terms of electroculture. So you want a plant to grow. Here's the bird's eye view. This is wood here. Okay. Wood, and it's probably, let's say it's about, I don't know, 4 inches high. 4 inches high wood. Let's say it's 2x4s, okay? 2x4s on the earth. Okay, just sort of set in the earth. Just set on top of the earth, sort of flush with the earth, okay? Then you have in the middle here your antenna. What's that antenna? That antenna, bear with me here, is this antenna, okay, in the middle. And those wavelengths on these frequencies, it's going to pick up and absorb based on the dimensions of your wood. Okay, so you got to do the math. You got to find the surface area. You got to find the wavelength. That would be the length. Let me go back here for this. To find the wavelength, lambda, you got to find the distance here in inches, or distance is meters, and then convert it into a frequency. Okay, so this is going to be a certain distance d, and we know that wavelength equates. There's a wavelength equation to calculate the distance and turn it into a frequency. So because based on distance, based on d1 and d2, okay, it's going to resonate at certain frequencies. Okay, certain cymatic standing waves, and there'll be patterns of nodal waves at specific frequencies. Okay, so maybe this is a pattern that your radio frequency antenna produces in the wood, because wood is diamagnetic, so it's going to reflect that electromagnetic wave back within the medium. Okay, so moving to the next slide, so to speak. So here's your same thing. You got your radio antenna. Okay, then on and around the standing waves, you have to experiment with this, but you have plants. Okay, these are plants now. These aren't cymatic nodal interchanges. So these are plants at various positions. Okay, based on the cymatic waves. Okay, so now this electromagnetic wave is going into the plants. What is another way to make this, like, these plants grow like a super amount? Okay, well, you can structure your water. So how do you do that? 2 rotations, a tornado rotation and a toroid rotation, okay? The heart naturally does this. The heart has chambers. When it goes to the tricuspid valve, it forms a toroid, okay? And right before then, when it's in the vessel, it forms a helix. Okay, so it's combining the helix and the toroid. Your heart does this. This is how it pumps the flow of blood. The Bible says life is in the blood. This is clearly divine creation. Anyways, getting back to the idea is that water needs to be structured. Okay, it needs to be rotated. Water has to contain a little bit pinch, maybe a pinch of sea salt. It's got to contain all your minerals, so your soil is just the right pH. Okay, make good old well water or something with a high hard water, the optimal amount of water. I don't want to say all hard waters are the best for soils. Obviously, people who practice gardening know exactly the good, perfect mineral content and the perfect soil pH for their plant to grow. So you want that, obviously. You want lightning, okay? So you want lightning. What do you mean? What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, you can pray for lightning and have lightning storms come around your area. You could build a big pyramid and resonate the ionosphere to actually channel the ionosphere to actually draw clouds into your area so that you could have lightning strikes. A simpler way to do that is to have a Tesla coil or even a Van de Graaff generator. Okay, so this is copper. Here's the copper antenna. And this Van de Graaff, this Van de Graaff here is hooked to the copper wire, okay? And it's oscillating around 8 hertz. In other words, the spark gap, there's a spark gap between this and the antenna. So here's the antenna in the center, and then here's your spark gap right next to your antenna. Okay, and I'll zoom in on that distance. So it's like, let's say it's like that. Here's your antenna. Here's your Van de Graaff generator. And here's your spark, your little piece of lightning. Okay? It's like lightning striking the earth, technically. Every little spark produced from that Van de Graaff or produced from that Tesla coil. And if that happens at the Schumann, okay, then you have your artificial Schumann. Okay? Based on in my opinion, based on the strength of this lightning pulse. Now, obviously, it can't be too strong. It has to be the optimal amount of voltage, the optimal amount of amperage. Obviously, lightning strikes are they have like hundreds of thousands of amps and many, many, many volts. But yet, lightning strikes are miles away from your garden, right? Or they might be hundreds of yards away from your garden, depending on where your storm is. But yet, the purpose of it is that lightning strike pulsates across the earth and sends a microvoltage into the plant. You want the plant to grow more, you got to have more lightning. You got to have a stronger amount of voltage pulsing into your cymatic resonant mode. So you have, okay, let's be fancy. Let's be like more creative here, okay? Let's just like make it so gardening is freaking cool, because gardening's awesome. Okay, so let's say you have a hexagonal wooden design. Let's say it's a 2x4 and it's sitting on the ground. 2x4s, hexagonal wooden design. Then you got your antenna here. Then you have your cymatic standing waves, your electromagnetic standing waves in this case. Just like going here, just like that. Okay. Small, which is that it's taking that large cymatic volume, that large Hartman and Curry lattice, and mixing it and overlaying, I'll do it in a different color, overlaying a really, really, really small lattice on top of it, and combining. When you have a change in volume of cymatic lati, then that's when you get your phenomenon of growth. That's when you get your force and motion of your plant. And that's how your plant grows up by forces, in my opinion. So let's say, you got your hexagon. Get your hexagon apparatus. And I'm just going to erase this. This will be easier. Then you have your standing cymatic waves in there. Whoa. Make this easy. Okay, so you have your standing cymatic waves inside the wood, because the wood is diamagnetic. It's going to reflect it, okay? Or you could make it out of copper. You could have a copper hexagonal lattice. Okay, there'd be a lot of copper, but you could do it. You do a copper piping, okay? Copper piping laying flush on the ground, a hexagonal copper pipe. Okay, if you're good at sweating pipe or whatever you're good at. Use all your talents. We're meant to use our talents in this earth. So yeah, it could be copper pipe. So let's say it's copper. Write copper right next to it. Copper pipe, okay? When that, and this is copper, this here, this extrapolated, this view, let's call that alpha. Alpha in a different plane is going to look like this. Like on a pole or something, and then it's going to coil up, and then it's going to go like that. Okay, and these can just be random wavelengths or calculated wavelengths, depending on how technical you want to get. Okay, notice none of these are touching. I know they look touching in the picture, but none of these coils are touching. In other words, it's not overlapping or touching when you wind it. Okay, just like in the videos I showed before of these people doing electroculture. None of these wires are touching either. Okay, not to short circuit it. You don't want to short circuit it out. Okay, so it's going to send all these radio waves in here, create a standing cymatic wave lattice. The copper is diamagnetic. It's going to naturally reflect it back in. So it's going to act as a natural boundary, just in the same way that this plate as a natural boundary. Right. Okay. So, yeah, bear with me. So you got to have your structured water. I mentioned that. You got to have light. Obviously, you got to have light for plants to grow. Artificial lightning and circularly polarized radio waves. And you could even do sound waves. So healing sound waves. I talked in other videos. Go check out my videos in terms of water infrared healing. That's around a C sharp. So if you take a guitar, the B string, the C sharp note on a B string of a guitar, slightly flattened at 273 hertz to be exact, that is your tonic. That is the key that you're in. That's the tonic. That's the bass note. So you can actually hum like sound frequencies. You can produce sound frequencies. You can put a speaker in the ground to vibrate the ground at 273 hertz for optimal infrared absorption. Okay? And all the harmonics of it. You could do like a perfect fifth of 273 hertz and vibrate that in accordance with it. You could do a chord. You could do a major third in a perfect fifth, okay? To form a C sharp major chord that would be going in terms of a speaker. So your speaker could be here, just directly center, vibrating the ground, okay? And that would also form standing cymatic waves. So you got your Schumann forming cymatic standing waves, okay, at 8 hertz. Then you could have your speaker forming standing waves at like 273 hertz. Then you got your radio antenna. Okay, that is Electro Culture. Then you have your artificial lightning striker, lightning. Your Tesla coil, your Van de Graaff generator, and that can be 8 hertz. Now, I would imagine that plant growth would accelerate if you have a change in frequency. So let's say your frequency is 20 hertz. Potentially 20 lightning strikes per second might actually speed up the rate of growth of your plant. All good for experimenting. So this is my idea of electroculture and how plants can directly be manipulated by electromagnetic activity to grow to immense sizes. Another thing about plants that a lot of people if you're really rich or something, what I would recommend is barometric pressure chambers. Okay, to increase pressure per square inch on the plant. Okay, then they'll grow like mad. They'll grow really crazy. With you have an artificial spark gap, so artificial lightning. Okay, and let's say you up that to 20 cycles a second. Okay, from your Van de Graaff generator or whatever, and then you have sunlight coming in. Okay, then you could make a lens on this, so it'd be circularly polarized light. Okay, that's for probably another video, but it's circular polarized light, and then circularly polarized radio antenna, radio wave. Okay, going into ground, and then here's your plants that are growing up inside this barometric pressure chamber. And I'd imagine they grow way quicker. This is for people who produce weed. This is for people who produce any crop. Anyone who wants to make a bunch of money, in my opinion, this is how to do it. You got to have your artificial lightning, which is that is your Schumann. Then you got to have your radio waves, and you got to tune to infrared frequencies, and you got to tune to healing frequencies of the plant and growth frequencies of the plant. Yeah, so that is the video. Hope you learned something. Thank you.